All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Picture this. You walk into a job interview, sit down, take a deep breath, and literally the very first thing they ask you is, it's 12 p.m. 1 year from now. What are you doing? It's a completely jarring curveball, right? Well, this exact question, which was famously used by recruiter Angela Bortolucci, is absolute proof that the predictable days of politely asking, where do you see yourself in 5 years, are officially over. The game has totally changed. And the pressure to perform in these moments, it is incredibly high. To put this into perspective, only 8.4% of applicants actually reach the interview stage. That means a staggering 91.6% are rejected before they ever even speak to a human being. With stakes this high, just showing up isn't going to cut it anymore. Standing out means you really have to learn to treat the modern interview like a strategic puzzle. So, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to decode that exact puzzle. And to make things a bit more relatable and fun, we'll be using a couple of corporate characters. We'll call them Candidate Chloe and Manager Mike to completely demystify the psychology and the strategy on both sides of the modern job interview table. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the modern battlefield, decoding behavioral questions, the STAR method explained, tackling the failure question, unconventional curveballs, and finally, asking your own questions. Let's get to it. Section 1. The modern battlefield. Let's look at what hiring managers are actually trying to achieve in a brief 30-minute conversation. What are they actively hunting for? Spoiler alert, it's not just your hard skills. Manager Mike is looking for these 6 core soft skills to gauge a candidate's true high potential. And look at number 1 right there, adaptability. A massive 69% of hiring managers say adaptability is the single most important trait they screen for. Think about it. If you can't adapt, you just can't survive in today's fast-paced economy. Section 2. Decoding behavioral questions. This is exactly how they test for adaptability by looking at your past. So, for example, when Manager Mike asks a behavioral question like, tell me about a time when you were asked to do something you had never done before, he isn't just making small talk about your old job duties. He's trying to uncover that hidden metric we just talked about. How adaptable are you? He wants to see if you can handle new systems, sudden shifts in a project, or tasks totally outside your job description without missing a beat. It's the same thing when they ask about your ideal work environment or a time you were energized at work. They're looking for a culture ad. See, they don't want a hire like me clone, because if everyone thinks exactly the same, the whole company stagnates. They want someone who shares their core values, absolutely, but who also brings fresh, diverse perspectives and experiences to actually drive the organization forward. Section 3. The STAR method explained. Now that we know what Manager Mike is looking for, let's give Candidate Chloe the ultimate tool for behavioral interviewing. When you get hit with one of those tell me about a time questions, whatever you do, do not just start rambling. Build a compelling narrative using this specific structure. First, clearly outline the situation and the task you are facing. Then, detail the specific action you took, followed by the result. But here's the real secret sauce, this 5th step. The lesson and proof. The absolute best candidates don't just state the result. They explain what they learned and they prove exactly how they applied that lesson to a future project. Oh, and a critical tip here for when you're explaining your action step. Keep the focus entirely on you. Use the word I, not we. I know, it feels way more natural to be humble and say, we launched the product. But if you do that, you accidentally give away credit for your specific contributions to the whole team. The interviewer is hiring you, not your old team, so they need to know exactly what you did. Section 4. Tackling the failure question. This structured STAR approach is especially vital for arguably the most dreaded prompt of all. Tell me about a time you failed. Okay, to handle this one, never ever use the classic humble brag. You know the one, well, my biggest failure is that I just work too hard and care too much. No way. Interviewers roll their eyes at this because it shows zero self-awareness. A genuinely good answer means owning a real, moderate-stakes professional misstep. You state the honest outcome, and then you use that 5th STAR step to prove exactly how you applied the hard lesson to a later project to show real growth. But listen, you must choose your story wisely. Absolutely avoid listing massive catastrophes that cost the company major clients or created, legal issues. Never blame your manager or your teammates. That just shows a lack of accountability. Don't claim you simply don't fail, because that's a huge red flag. And finally, avoid confessing a mistake without highlighting a concrete change in your behavior afterward.
A failure story with no lesson? Well, that's just a confession.
Section 5, Unconventional Curveballs. You've mastered behavioral questions, but leaders love to shake things up when you least expect it. Take this incredibly fun prompt. What product or brand best describes you? This one is actually a favorite of PepsiCo's HR chief. It tests your self-awareness, your cleverness, and honestly, whether you've done your homework on the company. One standout candidate actually scored major points by smartly comparing herself to a top-selling brand of bubblegum. It's totally unexpected, it's memorable, and it shows great lateral thinking.
Or imagine being asked this. If I gave you $100 million right now, would you be in this seat? This is a brilliant trick question. If you're honest, the answer is almost always no, but it forces you to reveal your true personal and professional passions. It shows the interviewer if you operate with a genuine purpose and drive, or if you're literally just there to collect a paycheck.
And then we have these rapid-fire oddities used by top CEOs. Asking, "Why shouldn't I hire you?" tests your humility. And the best way to answer is by acknowledging a minor skill gap while highlighting your eagerness to learn it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you? That tests cultural fit, so just embrace it and share a harmless, quirky hobby. And the prompt, "Teach me something in 5 minutes," pick a simple passion of yours and focus entirely on clarity and enthusiasm to show your empathy for a total beginner.
Finally, Section 6, asking your own questions. Because when they flip the script and ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" this is your crucial final test.
The absolute worst thing you can do is just shrug and say, "No, I think you covered everything." Never say no. If you don't have questions prepared, you're basically broadcasting non-interest. You are wasting a perfect opportunity to show that you're deeply invested, highly curious, and have thoroughly researched the role. But you've got to be strategic here. You have to tailor your questions to the specific person sitting across the table. If you're talking to HR, ask them about broad company policies, like the onboarding process or appraisal structures. But if you're sitting across from your potential direct supervisor, grill them on the realities of the job. Ask them, "What am I expected to deliver in the first 60 days? Or what are the specific best practices to be successful on your team?"
At the end of the day, Manager Mike is using all of these tactics, the behavioral deep dives, the STAR method requirements, and the wild curveballs, to push past your rehearsed bullet points. They are digging to find the real, authentic you. So lean into these frameworks. Use them to confidently provide well-structured and deeply revealing insights about who you are as a professional. I'm going to leave you with this famously intense curveball from venture capitalist Peter Thiel to ponder. What is one fundamental truth that you believe in that the majority of the world disagrees with? Think about that for a second. It's a question that asks if you have the original thought, the conviction, and the pure confidence required to stand entirely alone in your beliefs. Think about exactly how you would answer that, and take that same level of confidence into your next interview. Thanks for joining me on This Explainer.